We'll see you back here at the Peacock Theater for the Game Awards 2025, our 12th show live on Thursday, December 11th, 2025. Thank you. Happy holidays. Have a good night.
Where Wilds? Hello, my fellow hunters, and welcome to not a new Wilds trailer breakdown. That's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, me and, let's be honest, literally everyone would have put their life savings on a new Wilds trailer at the Game Awards, and we all now would be collectively destitute. On top of the fact we're all, probably collectively really tired, because we all stayed up till like 5 in the morning to watch it. Or at least those of us on this side of the pond did. In any case, yeah, this is certainly notable enough by itself to be worthy of talking, because as I said in the various videos positing that this is a likely occurrence, which it still was, to be clear, it's weird that it's not happened. It's the last big all eyes on it stage for a big punchy trailer that will boil over the hype and keep it simmering all the way to release. So this kinda makes me think a couple things. I mean, the first option is that we're just not gonna get anything until the launch trailer in February, and that seems very much unlikely to the point I'd almost call it impossible. The main reason I would call it impossible is because there is no way and no doubt in my mind that we are going to get a second go, a second demo, a second beta test before the release of the game. It would be a weird decision not to, because what everyone really wants to know, they know they're going to like Wilds, they know the game looks solid, everything is looking peachy, especially with Capcom having proved how much it's listening to our feedback and making tweaks, and everything is all singing, all dancing. But what we really need to see is how the performance is holding up in an improved, more current version, and that can only be done via a demo-esque experience, and just, Monster Hunter gets a demo before it comes out. All of them has, and most of them you've been able to fight the flagship, so even just traditionally it makes sense. And I can't imagine just like a tweet one day that says, hey, demo next week, alright, cool, that isn't, part of some actual presentation announcement-y thing. Which makes me think that now with this having happened, what we're looking at is actually just another Capcom presentation, like when they announced the first beta test, when we got the Oil Well Basin trailer. Just a 10-minute little stream with Ryozo and so on, showing us and talking to us and having a little bit of a more major information. Here you go. And that honestly is perhaps more exciting than just a trailer at the Game Awards, because they can't really expand on that. And that's kind of what makes me think this is. Because if you were going to do another beta, etc., and at the end of a trailer at the Game Awards it just said, open beta test, January 15th, yada yada, with no additional context being able to be given, it would be hype, of course, but I think Capcom probably want to really give like a mission statement when it comes to another playtest, what they've changed, what they're hoping from us, and I think having more context and structure going in is perhaps important, which is why I do feel like another little 10-minute presentation, we get a new trailer, we get an announcement of beta, and then we get told a load of extra little bits about both the trailer, what we saw, what was new, and indeed what's going to be happening with future playtests. Or it might even be that whatever is going to be the next trailer is such a big deal that having a little bit of time to actually explain some things and talk about it is not just going to help but be nearly required, which is kind of really exciting in of itself to think about. And I mean, there's still some certain hard fact things that we've not had that we are, at least presumably, supposed to be getting. The main one is the proper official Capcom response to the open beta test survey and our feedback. We know a lot of it has already essentially been implemented thanks to the press event a while back, and them actually seeing it in the gameplay, both on a functionality, mechanically, and performance level, but we've not had like a actual, here we are Capcom, this is what we've heard, this is what we've done, almost patch note-esque vibe thing happen. And I feel like that needs to happen because they said that would. would happen. They have said they'll inform us of the details of the response to the feedback at a later date. So we still kind of need that later date and that response, and then ideally to be able to actually feel it ourselves. So ultimately, that's my now new prediction based on, well, nothing happening. At some point, we'll get an announcement of a Capcom presentation, and hey-oh, in that presentation, we'll get the next trailer, perhaps the next date for the beta test, some information from them, some cool big reveals, and give us all context going forward for the remainder of the news cycle for Wilds before it comes out next February. But I think perhaps a bigger question is, how do we feel about not getting a trailer? Because for me, I actually was kind of like, that's okay. Because really, I like being as blind as possible. I know Cotton is, living in this lovely little cocoon void nothingness, so he can be a pure, innocent Wilds baby for you guys in the Pro and Noob series. And honestly, for me too, it's one of my greatest joys seeing his reaction to everything right there for the first time. I love it, and how he does it, I don't know, but it is commendable. But that doesn't mean I don't love being surprised by things. Of course I do. So not having more new things revealed, getting closer and closer, I'm not against that. Honestly, I think for a lot of us, the more monsters we don't know about and see for the first time literally walking in front of you in a map is probably the coolest experience. And yes, of course, you can just not watch stuff, but let's be honest, if there's trailerage, if there's reveals, it's a mighty test of will, and one that I think is very understandable to fail. Now, I don't think for a second we're not going to get anything more until the release trailer at, release, but I do think this little extra breath isn't inherently a bad thing. And I kinda do hope that while we'll certainly get more, we don't get everything. I've touched on this a little bit ago, but I think this really does kinda bring it up. I know a lot of us stayed up for it, a lot of us waited around for it, but I am already sufficiently excited for Wilds, right? And I think I can speak for pretty much all of us when I say that. The only thing I'm kinda curious and want a little hinty tidbitty is what kind of is going to be forming some sort of endgamey system, What's our tempeds or our curioed up monsters or afflicteds going to be? That kind of vibe. And also for me, what's the deal with the whole extinct species and arkveld and the story? I've never been more excited for a story, and a story is all about the discovery of it playing through, not the knowing of it going in, as much as I do want to know at least a little bit more. There's a lot that can be done with Wilds, I feel like, in terms of revealing things that are exciting but don't really make a lot of sense until you actually get to them, and that's what I'm hoping to see. And we still have the kind of overhauly changes to Lance and Charge Blade to actually understand and see. Even the press didn't really touch on that because that wasn't done in the version that they played. Sword and Shield and Insect Glaive still getting some tweaks too. So presumably that'll be a thing in an eventual next demo or open beta, so we can get a proper grasp on the weapons. Hell, there's still stuff like specifically an actual demo on how the skills work in practice, and set building, and the kind of actual mechanical detail that we're going to be interacting with past the general hunting loop. Things like that are important to know about, and little info dumps can really help when it comes to it. As it currently stands, Wilds is actually very much still mysterious when it comes to, the nitty-gritty of Monster Hunter Ring. Like, we've got cool monsters, cool weapons, cool hunts, and a story narrative, but the actual meat is very much still mysterious. There's a lot of mysterious meat in the Forbidden Lands, and I'm hoping for it to become a little bit less mysterious, but not too much less mysterious between now and launch, and I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen. So ultimately, I just wanted to talk about the fact that nothing happened and what it might mean for something actually happening and what form it might take. Obviously, I still believe that the eventual next trailer will reveal a ice map to complete the quartet. It makes too much sense. It'll be the the Switch Axe monster on it, a new Apex 2, and hopefully some returning faces. I still think it's more likely than not Lagiacrus happens, because he's the one big famous face that's missed an entire generation, but other than that, we need a big handful of returning monsters that I think aren't going to be like your prime flagships, but sort of more fringy popular stuff, kind of like Nerscylla that I did a theory on based on the webs on Oilwell Basin, and there is just kind of these little pockets of core bits of info we normally get before a Monster Hunter game comes out that we've just not got yet, which kind of really does loop me back to thinking that the reason we didn't get a trailer ultimately is because a trailer by itself just isn't going to have the impact they want, even at the Game Awards. It needs to be a much bigger, hey, we're going to talk about new Wilds things for a while, let's do this, starting with the trailer, like we got for Oilwell Basin and the last open beta announcement, and ultimately I don't think that's a bad thing, because I guess in fairness you can argue that Wilds doesn't need hype help, it doesn't need awareness help, everyone is plenty excited and plenty knowledgeable about it. It just kind of needs the right selected details expressed to really kind of stoke what's already there. But I'd love to know your thoughts on this, what and when, and if you were disappointed or you're strangely like, yeah, that's fine, I'm content to get what we get when we get it, but even if we don't, that's all good. For now though, like if you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a good bye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.